This is the CreaseCast.
All right, folks, welcome. The camera's right there now.
Yeah, the camera's there now.
Check us out on YouTube, everybody.
Yeah.
CreaseCast YouTube is the best channel you can find on the internet. Actual in-person episode.
Yes,
wild.
it is.
Unfortunately, we have nothing to talk about because there's nothing happening in the Canucks world. But
Nothing.
I mean, there are
things.
Tangentially, there's like other shit going on.
Yeah.
But like, this is wild. First things first. Welcome everybody. Episode number 136 of season 3. Season 2 technically, because the first one didn't count. It counts now that I'm here.
I was there. It counts.
Debatable.
This is episode 1 of season 3. We are officially we've gotten past the threshold
stage.
that some of the lots of shows get canceled in season 2. That's they give them.
I was gonna say a lot of good shows get canceled in season 3 though too.
Yeah, that's true.
Arrested Development,
Futurama. The first
Futurama.
time, anyway. Futurama was like Mario Lemieux. It retired and then came back.
It rocked every single
and then
time.
It rocked. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
is there a player that you'd wish you'd gone to see live, like Mario? Is it
I think Lemieux would have been fun as shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I may have gone to some of his games because my parents took me to Canucks games as a kid. So
and that was that they might have. I mean, that was back in the day when not every team came every year.
Yeah, so, and my dad was for some reason my dad's a huge fucking Pittsburgh sports fan.
Really,
I have no idea why.
That's so.
He's a big Pittsburgh Steelers guy. Penguins guy. I have no idea why, because he's from Calgary. So it's all right. But yeah, so I imagine in my growing up of childhood, I probably saw him play, but just don't fucking remember it.
Yeah.
But that, I mean,
right, because you're an old man. I forget that.
Yeah.
I forget that a lot.
Fuck you. All right, anyway, so thanks for tuning in, guys, to the first and last in-person episode.
Wow, I can't believe I got rid of them that quickly.
Yeah. Okay, as a complete side note, because like we said, there isn't really much Canucks news to talk about, so it's gonna be a little kind of off the posty, a little Canucksy, you never know. Yeah. But we were talking before the show because we were talking about, of course, the age gap, and I was telling Lachlan he can't complain about people that are born in 2001 because the gap isn't large enough. It has to be 10 years. 10 years is the appropriate gap where you can start complaining about, age gaps. So I wanted to say, my wife and I realized in this discussion that we started dating when my youngest niece, who is entering her final year of high school, we were dating or started dating when she was 2 years old.
Jesus.
Which I hate. Yeah. She might have been turning 3. I'm not.
And your niece now is.
So she's either 17 turning 18 or already 18, which would mean she was either 2 or 3 when we were dating, which is just the worst thing on the planet.
And you know what? Part of that is also just the pandemic sped everything up.
Yes.
Because
I missed my 30th birthday, 31st birthday. I think that's it. How long has
how long
has it
going
been?
On? That's a great question.
Couple decades now?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Because I'm a June. Well, we're both June birthdays. You and I are both June birthdays. We're 5 days apart, but we're different. We're different star signs or whatever. Right. Because I've missed my 23rd and 24th while I was during the pandemic, and now here we are 2 weeks away from, I think, Canucks training camp starting.
Speaking of season 3, we're about to be in season 3 of the pandemic.
Season 3 of the pandemic, hopefully 82 this year. That's the goal. That's the plan. And now, but I mean, you and I think I got my vaccine card.
Oh yeah, yesterday. So folks, we're not defying laws or anything. I think we're both double vaxxed.
That's one of the few good news parts of this is that
actually see people. Yeah, and the people that you don't see are either not vaccinated or they're weirdos who don't like to hang out with people.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fair.
Which is me, but most of the time.
I realized during COVID how much of a homebody and how antisocial I enjoy being. So I was like, oh, this kind of rocks a bit.
Yeah.
Stay home, communicate through the internet the entire time.
Yeah. See, I found out during the pandemic, but like a little bit different, right? Because I know you, because obviously you live with your wife.
Yes.
I live here by myself. We're filming. If you're not watching on the YouTube version, we're sitting in my apartment right now.
I would never ever own a Buffalo. Actually, that's a lie. Some Buffalo Sabre jersey are pretty tight.
Yeah, I mean this one's not. That I didn't buy this because it's great looking. I bought it because it was cheap, and it's a Ryan Miller jersey.
That's how you buy jerseys.
Yeah,
like that's how I got all my Canucks jerseys.
Only on sale, exactly. Cheap. Or like RIP the Jersey Finder account. That was a great account.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I noted, like I'm not very social generally. Like I'm very much somebody who, I like sitting at home. I like watching TV, but it got too much. Like it didn't.
Well, when
it
it's
took
like
a while, but it eventually I was like, I hate this. Like I hate being by myself all the time.
Well, especially because like during COVID too, it was kind of like you didn't have a choice. It was just like, okay, you're alone, but you have to be alone.
Yeah.
You like in a normal society, you'd be like, I'm gonna be alone for a couple weeks. If I want to hang out, I have that option.
Right.
During COVID, it was like, I don't like being alone. I'd like to see people. Oh, right. I don't have that option because everyone's like worried about dying.
And everything, and it's not like there's any like extra ways to entertain yourself because everything's closed. Yeah. Like there were no, like you can
sold out.
Want to go to a movie? There's no movies to go to. Want to watch sports? There are no sports. Like there was nothing. And now finally, like it feels like we're getting to the point where like, yeah, there is the potential of the Delta variant and everything else. But at the very least, like people are going to be able to go to hockey games again. Like, or knock on wood. Yeah,
knock on fucking wood, dude.
Knock on wood.
You and I are both so jacked for the potential to cover. I mean, knowing you and I, we'll probably be like at Abbotsford Canucks games together. Hopefully,
Comets would have been better. I don't know why they didn't. Well, I guess they couldn't keep it. I guess they
didn't technically own the branding, which sucks. Which
I mean,
it's also a good thing because the worst thing that could have happened is if New Jersey had bought the Comets and we're like, we're not going to go with the Comets anymore, and all that branding was just like killed.
Utica Devils, the
Utica Devils is so lame, and it's just like we put horns on the U. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? That looks like a devil. How spooky is that?
Yeah, exactly. Never mind that's not that the New Jersey Devil is as an actual like character in mythology, and the Utica Devil is not.
Yeah, that's not. It's just a stupid name with a stupid logo. But on another note, for those that are listening that may have an AHL TV account, which I do, don't forget if you're a Canucks fan, don't forget to update your team account to the Abbotsford Canucks, and don't do a thing like I did and accidentally renew for the wrong team.
Oh no!
I renewed for the Utica Comets. I got the email, and and it was like your account has renewed for the Utica Comets 2021 season. I was like, oh no!
So for anybody that's not like super like big into the AHL, they have I'm
not even really.
They have AHL TV. And like for a long time it was like $300. I think it's gone down now. Like it's to a more reasonable number.
It's genuinely cheaper than most minor league teams. Like you can get like whatever team you're following. Like you can get them for like $70.
Right.
And whereas in like the WHL, it's like $128.
The WHL and the AHL, it used to have it used to be the same system, and that's why they cost the same amount. And I think now it's different.
Oh, really?
I think what the AHL system now is run through like Hockey TV or whatever, that one company.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas I believe the and this is just because I've spent way too much time looking at them. Like the WHL one, like all the CHL ones, I think are done by like New Lion, who used to do the NHL Game Center before the MLB people came in.
It's definitely not. I mean, if you really like minor league hockey, it's valuable to you, but like, man, if I had the choice,
it's better. AHL TV is better than NHL TV. Like from a obviously like I guess games might not be necessarily, but like the things you can do with that system are so much better.
It's weirdly set up for like video coaches. I noticed. You can like tag events and stuff, and it's like they want you to do it.
You can clip. You can clip it high. Like you can clip exactly when you need to reach a highlight or something later in the later.
Very convenient.
It's like they want media to like cover their sport. And they literally pay. I think they pay. I remember when they brought that system in, they paid to like set up all the cameras in all the arenas and everything so that they'd all have HD, because most of them didn't at that time. Because
why would they? I think the thing was, it used to be like $160 or whatever for AHL TV, but it was like the camera quality was so fucking bad,
and it varied in every rink. So like if you were one of the, say if you were like the Toronto Marlies, you might have HD cameras that like the Leafs would use.
Or you go to Binghamton and it's like someone recording with like their camcorder from like 1997. You're like, I paid $140 for this game.
Or it's like the security cam, like in the it's like the fisheye lens.
It's like the bars, like the gray bars, like occasionally like filtering through.
That's but so like when you when it renewed, did you just had it set to like automatic renewals? Is that why that happened, or is it you accidentally clicked on?
I mean, I'm just a dumbass, and it was like I got an email months ago that was like, your account's gonna renew. If you want to, click yes. And of course, like the responsible adult I am, I deleted the email.
You delete your emails, you monster.
I delete most of my emails.
That's agent of chaos. I never delete an email.
I mean, so what I did was I got the receipt saying, you've renewed for the comments. I forwarded it to their CSR team, and I was like, I started off being like, hi, I'm an idiot. I renewed for the wrong team. Please understand, I need to cover the Abbotsford Canucks.
You sent it to the AHLTV people?
And they didn't answer me for like 2 days, and they got back to me like, no problem.
That's
we switched it. So it's like, they probably saw that the title, like, because the subject header I put was, hi, I'm an idiot. And so they're probably just like,
that's very nice. That's a very nice way of starting the email. Like, I hope this finds you well. I'm a huge dumbass.
It's a very disarming way to start like an email. I wish I could do that at work,
just in all your emails. But, even if it's completely unrelated.
I say that, but I am never an idiot at work. I am the smartest man at work.
True.
I am the only reason why that company exists. But anyway, how's school going?
Cool, that's
Your
right.
First week of BCIT.
That's right. I started. I haven't talked about it on Twitter just because I'm not like a big I'm not a big. I'm not. No, it's not that. I'm not. I've never been somebody who's like big on like. I know a lot of people like to be like, oh, I'm a proud graduate of so and so, or like this college, or like in their byline they'll be I'm going to school, and they post a bunch of pictures.
Quinnipiac 2020.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Northeastern 19 or whatever.
I know people who went to Quinnipiac.
Really?
Yeah. And so I've never been that style. So yeah, I'm actually doing the broadcasting and online journalism course for BCIT. I've kept it pretty DL just because I don't think anybody cares generally. but I'm excited because I'm going to get to learn some stuff. Like one of the things that I've noticed from doing this podcast for as long as we have, and from doing the other show, which I guess I haven't talked about on the public episodes yet. I also do Locked On Canucks now.
Yes. Make sure to check that out, everybody. Locked On Canucks.
And I'm noticing it right now as I'm talking, is that I do a lot of or like I make a noise in between when I'm talking. I probably shouldn't tell you that because now you're going to listen to it.
Now they're absolutely going to notice.
It's the How I Met Your Mother episode where the glass shatters every time they realize a tick that somebody does that they never they just let it. Me too. I just rewatched all of How I Met Your Mother. And that's something I'm hoping I'm going to learn. Like one of the first classes I'm doing next week is intro to announcing, radio announcing.
It's like curbing habits.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's what a lot of it is like for intro to announcing. And then there's a radio, like introduction to radio.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be obviously video and writing stuff as well. But this was just like orientation week. And I'm looking forward to learning that stuff so we can do more stuff here. So we can do more stuff on our websites and everything else.
You're learning and growing as a person. And by extension, that's helping me learn and grow too.
Yeah.
It's basically like, you're paying for both of us to go to online journalism broadcast school.
That's right.
And so, I mean, I'll never chip in, but I appreciate you for doing it. So
you're
our
welcome.
Podcast is better for it, and
it's true. I'm doing we had orientation week. I got to meet some people like from Canucks Twitter who are also there. There's a lot of sports people in there.
Oh yeah. Got to hear some juicy rumors.
I had to hear some juicy. I mean, I've heard. I get to hear stuff all the time. I'm pretty cool.
You're connected with the rumor mill.
Oh yeah, soon.
You follow what's that new Instagram account? It's like Hockey Wags or whatever.
Oh, is that a thing? Oh man,
no, you follow it?
I don't think so. No,
I follow it for some reason. I don't know why. I get nothing out of it.
No,
it's just mostly like the account owner is like they're just like posting like those ask me a question on Instagram, and then they just talk.
Interesting.
About themselves. It has nothing to do with wag shit. And I'm like, well, this is why I'm here.
That's funny.
I don't care about anything else.
You just want to hear the juicy gossip, the hot goss.
That's what Instagram's for like hockey shit. It's just the juice. Like, do you remember like back in the day when you could actually see people's likes?
Yes.
And like their follows, and you could see like, oh, Brock Besser's liked a bunch of like chicks like photos and stuff. And like Quinn Hughes started following like a bunch of local like Vancouver like hotties, and you're just like, yeah, go for it.
Shoot your shot, bro.
Yeah, like that was like the coolest part about Instagram was just like seeing what celebs are trying to get it in.
This podcast is explicit for a reason.
Yeah, this podcast is brought to you by Blue Chew.
Yeah, Blue Chew or Manscaped.
Yeah, or Manscaped.
We'll do business with the CreaseCast. I'm sure they do business with every hockey podcast and Ottawa Senators.
That does bring us to our CreaseCast poll question. Who uses Manscaped more, Quinn Hughes or Brock Besser?
I'm so scared. No.
Let's just picture their private parts.
Oh my God, they're no.
And if you don't know, just picture Prince Charming from Shrek.
I do not. My employer. My thoughts do not reflect those of the CreaseCast Limited. I would like that on the record.
I'm gonna forward this to your teachers at BCIT and be like, you wouldn't believe what Lachlan has learned from your filthy smut program.
Especially considering they probably don't know what my voice sounds like yet. They'll probably think that's me, and
wait. So are you the student that's like super quiet the entire time?
I mean, most of them are like. I mean, you know how school is like, especially in college. Like people,
I slept through school.
You slept through school, okay?
Most of school.
I'm generally not the person who asks a lot of questions just because I don't want. I'm not a big on the interaction and stuff thing. I prefer that to being like, say, the person who won't stop asking questions, because every class has one person who won't shut up.
Okay, so. On that note, who is the person that won't shut up from your class, and what is their student ID number?
Look, I have to work with these people for 2 years, so I'm not giving that out.
Like, Lachlan, we all listen to your episode. Why would you say this shit about us?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is your podcast partner such an asshole towards us? We barely know you.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm looking forward to doing all the podcasts and stuff, because again, we're going to keep doing we're doing the show all of this season. And what's exciting also about doing the BCIT stuff is that we might get to use their their studios from time to time, which
I'll never drive out there.
You'll never drive out there. I will pay for your parking.
How much is parking at BCIT?
It's $5.
Fuck that.
For the whole day. For the whole day. $5 for the whole day.
I know it's always been for the full day, but back in my day, it was like $2.15.
That's good.
That's cheap as shit. And at the time, I thought that was very expensive.
I mean, it's not that it's really not that it gets bad if you have to go all the time, and
every day.
But the buses are pretty. If you live in a spot where it's convenient to get to through the SkyTrain or the buses, it's easy not to pay for that stuff. Yeah. For me, I live in a spot where it's just there isn't a bus nearby that goes.
You gotta walk 50 miles to the whatever Joyce Station or whatever's in Burnaby.
Yeah, it's a little too far to do every single day, especially at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah. I've got Port Moody Station I don't know, a stone's throw from my house. So
that's awesome.
I have no reason to complain about transit anymore. So
you'd be able to.
I understand the pain.
Yeah, you'd be able to get there pretty easily without it. For me, I'm just in that spot where I have to pay for it.
SkyTrain at 9 a.m. Yeah. Crack open a couple of White Claws.
Be at
your first class and just be like, "What's up, bro?
Yeah, what's up?" Exactly. So we'll be able to do that this year. One of the things we were talking about before the show as well is, so again, this is our first time meeting in person. We set up some studio. It took us a while. It took me a while to set up.
There's a lot of technical stuff we had to figure out.
Yeah, there's a lot of technical stuff. Right now, so the whole.
We're hoping this episode sounds good.
We're hoping this sounds good. I think I set it up okay. One of the things that we've been using StreamYard for a lot of the episodes in the past, and that that hasn't changed here.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually we're going to move over to doing the show on like on some other systems and being able to do it more in a better podcast setup than we've got here, where we're just kind of doing it bare bones, very much like a Zoom call.
We appreciate the option with StreamYard to use video. That's kind of like the big selling point. You can split them up, audio, video, put them both on YouTube and Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, all those your favorite podcast apps.
You're ending the show very quickly.
Thanks, everybody.
But eventually we're gonna get some equipment in here to make it a lot more cohesive and make it sound better. Because right now
we're rid of some of these bobbleheads of just awful players.
We're gonna set this up so that it's like an actual looks like a studio in here. Right now it looks pretty. It looks not bad.
Have you seen like Steve Dangle's house where it's just like a fucking 13-year-old boy's bedroom?
No, that's what the office is, but we're not in the office.
That's true.
That's what it normally looks like in there.
His bedroom's like literally like if you told me it was his 5-year-old son, I'd be like, yeah, okay.
Hey, sure. But like that's the thing though, right? Is he's gotten to the point where that's his basement and that's his office.
That's just his brand.
He can afford an office, which we can't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't actually know what kind of
I do not have a basement.
You live in an apartment, like an apartment complex?
Yeah. I did not have. I mean, I guess I kind of have an office, but it's split with my wife, who we have like a dual desktop setup. So like, I can't like boot her out. I can't just be like, "Hey, Roxy, love you, but you can't use the internet or the computer for." That's the other thing. So my place, even though we have like TELUS employees living at our house, like our internet service is just absolute dog shit in our building.
Right, because it's one of those where just because of you live in an apartment, you can only use what's provided, right? Like
pretty much. And for whatever reason, I guess TELUS or Shaw like can't upgrade the building, or they're just like really taking
because if they upgrade one, they'd have to upgrade all of them, right?
Yeah, and so we're stuck on like TELUS, I don't know, 50 or whatever, but like it caps out like TELUS 25 internet. Wow. So it is like if we're podcasting right now, if someone started downloading, you would hear me start doing like the robot glitching, and then I would probably like do like internet. Are you sure
you're just on like you're still on like dial up? You're still on dial up.
Still on dial up. I have to make sure Grandma doesn't try and call me on the landline.
American Online. You're still, AOL is still your only way of getting internet.
By the way, check out my new blog site, AHL Nux Harvest at angelfire.com.
That is right though, that you have changed the website since the last time we did a show. I was
going to write a piece for the new site. I think I told you about that. The my version of the prospect pyramid.
Right.
I started writing it. I got the graphic going, and I was just like, who cares?
I feel like you need to care. That's important.
I drew up the rhombus. Oops, spoilers. It's a prospect rhombus, and it fucking rocks. But then I was like, I have to first off read up about a bunch of players that probably are going to play for the NHL team. So I was like, I'd rather watch movies while I still can, because I don't get to do that while the season starts.
That is true. That is one of the things that I didn't get really, because I started doing the other podcast about a week after we stopped doing shows.
You started it really quick.
Summer. Yeah, so I feel like really like right now I'm feeling like I did not get a break, because now
you got homework on the plate.
Now I got homework on the plate. I've got writing, and the season's gonna start pretty quick here. So we're gonna have a lot of stuff.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the season.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for hockey to come back.
I think this is the time in the episode where we let our audience know that the cynicism meter has reset to 0.
Yes.
The positivity meter is back at 100, because we have no fucking clue what's going to happen this year. There's a lot of reasons to have fear and doubts about this team, their defense especially. But there's, at the start of the new season, you never know.
Yeah.
Want to see like in history, in like NHL history, I mean, barring like whatever happened to some of the teams during like the Spanish flu year, like no team has probably suffered as much as the Canucks as last year, when they blew up their entire team in the previous offseason because they ran out of money, and then sucked out of the gate, acquired a bunch of guys that provided absolutely nothing and were flipped 7 months later. COVID outbreak, like pretty much the worst season
work
in NHL history, like maybe not on actual on ice results because they still finished above some teams, but it was so bad that it was like that's just like a hard reset kind of moment where all people like you and I can do is go, all right, reset the mental. It's going to be completely different. Team doesn't have COVID. Bo Horvat's out there with Ian McIntyre talking about why everyone on the team should be vaccinated.
Which is great to hear that from your captain. Yeah.
You read that piece, the whole thing? Yeah, he had some great quotes in there where he's just like, I had COVID. I know how shitty it is.
Don't be
an
stupid.
Idiot. Just get it.
Sometimes I think we like, and this is the general like hockey sports public really. Sometimes we make too big a deal about, these athletes have to be like leaders and whatnot. Like, even though, they're just doing a job, like maybe sometimes we make too big a deal of like the role model aspect of being an athlete, but that's being a real role model. Like that's good stuff from Bo Horvat. He's being a captain both in the on ice aspect and in the off ice aspect by encouraging fans to get vaccinated and go so they can come back and see him play. Like, and that's fantastic.
And I actually wonder too, like, I mean,
I don't think
obviously we're like in our own vacuum where we mostly pay attention to what's happening in Vancouver, but I genuinely wonder how many other captains of NHL teams are doing interviews where they're like, yeah, get vaccinated. I hope everyone on my team is vaccinated because it fucking sucks.
Especially like doing them out in their on their own time. Like it's not like a case where it's like he's obliged to do it. For example, like the Flyers Twitter account sending out a video of Claude Giroux saying get vaccinated. That's different than that
sounds like
Claude Giroux going on his own time to say, hey, get vaccinated, like on his own thing, right?
Because for those that didn't read the piece, Horvat's basically like in this article saying like, yeah, as soon as I was eligible, I started calling up pharmacies to see who had extra vaccines so I could go get vaccinated. And then he went there, nobody recognized him, but he just wanted to get it done.
Yeah.
Which is great and completely different than, ex-captain of some player doing like you said, like a Twitter video where he's like, hello, everyone, I am captain of said team. Yep. Please get vaccinated. It is very important. Like
doesn't mean he doesn't believe it. It's just, that's doing the team. That's just doing like advertising.
That's like PR
That's PR. Yeah. That's doing PR rather than just being.
What Horvat did was like straight up like something like he believes in.
Yeah. He's being like, that's true. Yeah. Belief in leadership and doing the right thing. Yeah.
So he's
using
earned
your platform for good.
If you had any doubts last year or the year before about Horvat's captaincy, he's kind of earned it.
He has. He's done a really good job, and I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear from him that he's doing such a good job with this.
On the note of Horvat, and as I'm staring at it in the screen instead of just turning my head to the left, the Team Canada jersey. I'm gonna kind of have like a little bit of a hot take here.
There's a Team Canada jersey just dropped, and I've not seen.
In your fucking room, dude.
Oh, right there. One. Oh, this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a feeling because Horvat's name's been dropped a few times as a potential like 13th forward for Team Canada. I think it's very doubtful he gets actually picked.
Right.
But the fact that his name is out there and he's acknowledged like the honor of having his name out there, my hot take is he's probably going to be like a 60-point player. Maybe like a 70-point player because he's going to be playing to try and get on that Team Canada team.
Yeah. Yes.
That's just my hunch.
I fully agree with that. Not just in the fact that like, I think his career year was the season before the pandemic stuff started, which was he had 61 points.
Yeah.
I actually just talked about this on Locked On today.
You should upload it.
Yeah, I should upload it. I haven't gotten I have so much editing to do today. He had
a lot of excuses.
I believe he had about 61 points. He in 2 years ago, and then he was on pace to break that in 2019-20 until the season stopped. And I think even last year he was on a pretty good roll and had the season been 82 games instead of 56. And I think now, not only especially because of the fact that you throw in now with Jason Dickinson on the team this year, he doesn't have to do as much defensive stuff. He's not going to be, in theory, he won't be as relied upon to say play against the first line to get like that first line matchup against say Connor McDavid against the Oilers sort of thing. He'll get benefit of better matchups. He'll be playing now with, my guess is Höglander on the left and Connor Garland on the right, which would be a very lethal combo. And you're going to see better power play, two good power play units now instead of just one and another one to kill time.
Yeah, because power play 2 last year was
power play 2 for a while is not good.
I mean, it was pretty good when Gaudette had his like
he had a good run.
It was his 25 or 50 points or whatever the fuck it was, 40 points. Yeah. But last year it was just like you said, they were just out there to kill time.
It was just don't get scored on. That was literally what they were there for. It was and you'd see the Pedersen, Besser, Horvat, Miller, Hughes unit go out there for a minute and a half, and the second unit would be lucky to get 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Then that's just because that was all they had. This year, you're looking at a team in theory, put Colson on that second power play unit.
Maybe even Connor Garland, because he might not even be on power play 1.
Yeah, I think you put Garland down there. I think maybe Miller. I think maybe they move Miller down to the second line as kind of an anchor for that one. Maybe Höglander. I don't know if Höglander would go to Unit 1. I know he spent time on Unit 1 at the end of last season, but that was also because Pedersen was injured. But they have two.
A lot of our analysis is hinging on the fact that the team finally signs Pedersen or Hughes, because it is September 10th. We need to acknowledge the fact that neither guy has signed yet. What is it, 2 weeks until training camp?
I believe so. I believe about 2 weeks until training camp, because the preseason games normally the preseason games are starting in about, say, next week. Like that would be the beginning, but because of the calendar being pushed forward a little bit with the pandemic and everything, 2 weeks from now is when training camp starts. I believe the first preseason games are last week of September. I think there's one or two.
They're the first week of October.
Yeah, I know they definitely bleed into like mid-October, which they normally don't.
Yeah. And then it's like a slam schedule now that Olympics are official.
You know what, you said at the top of the show that like there isn't much to talk about, but I actually think there's a good amount of things that that are worth talking about.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's actually like things to talk about, but it's like tangentially related to the Canucks, not specifically like here's specifically what happened to the Canucks or with Canucks players. It's more like here's all these things that did happen around the league that affect the Canucks looking ahead to next season. Because, I mean, Olympics are actually happening, so they're going to have like a giant condensed schedule on the first half and the back half.
Where will I get to watch Linden Vey now? Like, that was my only Linden Vey games the last time.
They fucked over Canada, and they couldn't even beat Russia. Come on. They couldn't even beat 42-year-old.
They couldn't beat Germany. That's who they lost to. They lost to Germany in the
that's
semifinal.
right.
That was fun. Actually, you know what? I'll say this, like, as a Canadian, we win a lot of hockey things. I kind of liked I was fine with them losing to Germany because it made Germans care about hockey, which was great.
Knew that Olympics was a joke and nobody cares.
I think I only watched the women's games in that tournament. That was the only one worth watching. Yeah.
Nobody actually cares. This one, though, fuck, man. Connor McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, possible first line, provided they're not injured.
Yeah, because Crosby just had surgery. He's out for the first month, I believe, of the season, or at least the next month or so. I forget exactly.
Yeah, they're like
a month from now or a month from the season starting.
Those weeks they're like, oh, so and so players had surgery. He'll be out for 6 weeks, and then they say like something weird, like he'll miss at least a couple games of preseason, and you're like, but
he wasn't going to add up at all
anyway. He would never play them anyway. But it's pretty hype. Like there's potential where it, like finally best on best hockey, like again. Like, we were talking about this on the Off the Post, where like the World Cup of hockey like actually kind of rocked.
Yeah, it did. It was fun.
It's fun. The Team North America U23 team, so stupid, but like super fun when they like actually won.
Yeah,
and then Team Europe wins, like. Just so funny.
We thought they were going to get cooked. Both of those teams, we thought they were going to get absolutely crushed. And then, like, granted, North America didn't make it to the semifinals based on how the standings worked.
Yeah,
they got a little bit just screwed over by the dynamics.
Yeah,
but they were so fun. They were so fun to watch. That overtime between Sweden and North America is one of the best sets of minutes, like sections of hockey in history. It's so fun. And that was like right as 3-on-3 was.
That was like, I think that was the year of 3-on-3 instituted.
It might have been like it might have either been that year or like the year before. It was nearly
it was like
brand.
It was brand new. Nobody really
brand new.
watched it a lot, and it was like, "Fuck, this rocks."
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, we're not going to go to the Olympics."
Yeah.
Now. So I was like, "Oh."
Austin
great.
Matthews hadn't even played an NHL game yet, and he was on the team. Like that was before his first game.
Or as pointed out on, I think, Canucks Conversation, the most fucked up stat of all is JT Miller was on the Team North America team because he was under 23 or just turning 23.
You know what's really funny is I wrote an article at that time called "Why Bo Horvat Should Make Team North America" because I wanted him to make that team, and I guess this all comes full circle. I think the player I mentioned, the player I highlighted as who Horvat should take over from is JT Miller. I was like, who the hell is this guy? Get him out of here.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Who is this guy? Bo Horvat's better than him. Get him out of here. And that was very funny. And in hindsight, now that they're both playing on the same team. And I mean, now there's the whole thing of where I think, like, I don't know if you saw some people's like projections of Team USA where people had JT Miller on the team, but not Brock Besser, which I found interesting. I don't know about you. You might agree with that. I don't know I can see why that's a thing. If we want to get into Olympic stuff, it might be like a little too early, but honestly, I seen the Canucks could potentially send 4 players on to Team USA, which is kind of wild because they've never had a lot of American players. They could have Demko as number 3.
Everyone was hyped when fucking Yannick Hansen got picked for Team North or Team Europe, right? It was like, Canucks have someone, even though their team is awful.
It was Hansen, it was Spiza. Spiza was on that team. It was who else was on that? The Sedins and then Louis Eriksson. That was before Eriksson had played a game as a Canuck. Right. That was the intro, and they were so good in that tournament. They were so good.
That was the telltale sign. It was best on best. He should have been awesome.
He should have been great. They won every game. Oh man, now Louis is a Coyote.
In the news talking about how his chains are off and he can finally play
the
hockey
bullying
again.
Of Louis. That was I know that was just bad Google Translate, but so funny. So
would you buy a Louis Eriksson Kachina jersey if it was on sale at the Phoenix Coyotes store, 50% off because he's retired because he was benched for the entire season?
I'm gonna say no,
but
that's just because I only buy goalie jerseys. He's not a goalie. Yeah, if he were a goalie, I'd buy his jersey.
He plays like a goalie because
sometimes
most of the
I could buy Alex Edler's jersey that way, his Kings jersey.
Okay, did you see like that North Vancouver hockey camp thing?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it was like an Instagram account or Twitter account or whatever, and they're posting pictures like all these players from around BC. They're doing a camp in Delta or whatever, and it's like all these familiar Canucks, and there's Alex Edler in his Kings gear with blue Canucks gloves, and like Troy Stetcher's there, and you're just like, this does not look right.
This is so sad.
Props to him for getting the bag, but watching that guy probably play shutdown minutes for the Kings is going to be so bizarre.
And probably getting his 100th goal against the Canucks. It's going to happen. That's exactly how that's going to play.
Fine.
It's going to play. He's going to, at least, I just hope he gets it. I was
going to say, I would genuinely be shocked at this point if he can actually hit 100 goals.
He's only one away. He can get one. I guess, but getting back to like the Olympic thing. So in theory, I've seen a lot of projections say, okay, Demko is like the 3rd goalie behind Gibson and Hellebuck.
Yeah.
And then you have Hughes, obviously, on defense. And then the potential of JT Miller and Brock Besser at forward. Here's the thing. I think the way that Team USA builds their teams generally, it makes sense why people are putting JT Miller ahead of Brock Besser, specifically because they really value the grit and
they value like the Tortorella style hockey still, right? Yes. They love the 2-way grit type stuff,
which did not help them the last time they played it. When they did the World Cup, they lost every game. That was the one thing that was one of the most shocking things about that tournament. I remember that
the takeaway was like Tortorella hockey does not work anymore. We need Team USA hockey figured out, right?
Yeah, because they really, and that had been going on at least for a while, because I remember Brian Burke was in charge of the team for I think 2 years, like the 2010 and 2014 games. They obviously did well the first time. They did well, but they got the silver, but also a lot of that was due to Ryan Miller playing out of his mind, who's now
coach.
The coach of one of the coaches for Team USA. God, I'm old. And then the 2014 year, they completely left Phil Kessel off the team. even though he was one of the best at that time, was one of the most best American scorers. And then sure enough, they didn't even win a medal.
There was some bizarre. I can't. I have to look it up. But there was some player they chose. It wasn't like Tanner Glass, but like someone like just like a complete plug type player.
Justin Abdelkader. Was that like from the World Cup at least? That was the guy they brought. They left off Phil Kessel and they took Justin Abdelkader.
I'm thinking of the Sochi Olympics though.
The Sochi Games.
I feel like there was some. I know for Team Canada there was like
Chris Kunitz made the team
because being like a complete fucking baby. Like I should be playing with Sid.
Wait, was he not playing with Sid during that? Because
no, he was crying that he wasn't picked for the team.
Oh no, that wasn't Kunitz then, because he made the team. Kunitz made the team. It was
but he made the team because he was crying about it.
No, you're thinking of Marty St. Louis. Marty St. Louis got left off the team.
Am I mixing the two?
Yeah, I think so, because Marty St. Louis got left off the team, and that was particularly a sticking point because Steve Yzerman was his GM and also the GM of Canada, and left him off the team, and that's part of the reason why and that was kind of part of the feud that ended up getting him traded to the Rangers like a little while later. He ended up making the team because somebody got hurt. I think it was actually Stamkos who got hurt before the tournament started.
Actually.
So San Luis was the replacement for him.
Gotcha.
But no, I remember Kunitz made the team right out of the camp because he had been doing so well playing as Crosby's line mate in Pittsburgh they took him literally just for that reason.
Maybe it was Marty St. Louis bitching about Chris Kunitz being on the team. I feel like that's what it was. I know I have this very vivid memory of like someone bitching about how Chris Kunitz whined for his role on Crosby's wing for the Olympics. And
interesting.
It would make sense if it was Marty St. Louis because like, St. Louis was like fucking on fire.
Yeah,
for those like really final like 3 years or whatever it was career in Tampa.
The Lightning were just heating up at that point. Like, they were just getting into the era that we're still in right now with them.
And we'll never leave.
And we might never leave.
My God.
If they keep using the cap to their advantage.
If they keep getting away with it.
Yeah. But I remember that tournament also just being super, like the Sochi tournament was boring.
It was
particularly
boring
because the Canadian team just decimated everybody.
Yeah,
like it wasn't even like they were decimating people in a way that was entertaining. Like I remember the 2010 games were so fun, and again, that might just be due to the fact that they were playing in front of literally an entire crowd of Canadians, that making the game more intense. It might have been also, I think that tournament was played on North American ice, so it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more quick paced, than the one in Sochi, which they played on the full international sheets.
Yeah,
and I assume this one will be too in Beijing.
You'd think,
but
they weren't anticipating NHL players.
They weren't anticipating NHL players either. That's right. Yeah. But this tournament, I think, is going to be a lot more fun. Specifically, not just because, Canada's going to be clearly the best team there, regardless. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a team could put Stamkos on line 4. If he's healthy, or like Nathan McKinnon could be playing on like the third line. That's incredible and wild.
That's why I completely understand Bo Horvat being like, it's even an honor just being like his name being brought up when discussing it, because like, Canada's gross.
He's very specifically, his competition for that spot is going to be like Sean Couturier, who's a Selke winner. And Mark Scheifele, who's Mark Scheifele, like
barring Mark Scheifele trying to murder someone,
trying to kill somebody again. But two very good hockey players that on any team are line 1 guys. Bo is a very good hockey player. One of the best on the team. On the Canucks,
and clutch as fucking tournament situations.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Like one of the guys who made the team, who's on the projected to make Team Canada, is Ryan O'Reilly, and Bo Horvat outplayed Ryan O'Reilly in the playoffs that year. But Ryan O'Reilly is very clearly
a regular season objectively better player.
Yeah,
but in playoffs, Bo Horvat finds like that extra gear and makes him incredibly valuable.
I often think that outside of Vancouver, at least, like I know they always say, you always tend to overrate your own players and your own talent and your players on your own team and your system. I think outside of Vancouver, Bo Horvat is a little underrated and underappreciated just because he's not Pettersson, he's not Besser, he's not.
I say he's getting there though.
He's getting
because if you think about it, like
the captaincy helped.
The push for Horvat as an extra on Team Canada didn't come from anyone in the Vancouver market, right? It was like, Pierre LeBrun or whoever the fuck it was doing their projected Team Canada roster and had him as an extra, and everyone was like, "Whoa, well, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense."
I mean, he like, here's the thing that's important is if he was on the team, it would not make the team any worse. Like, there is no like, he could very clearly sub in for one of those guys and it would not even make a small dent in the overall quality of the team, and that speaks volumes about how good he is as a player.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like people, if they saw him in there instead of, say, Mark Scheifele or something, people would be like, "Oh, well, there's a clear hole on line 4." Like,
it is in the Chris Kunitz situation where if he's on there, people are raising their eyebrows, going, "Can this guy actually add anything to the team?" I think most people in the hockey world would understand it. Like, yeah, okay, he's a playoff performer, like, and he's a captain. Like,
he's
he's a good pick. Like,
he's a clearly,
he may not be a Selke winner or whatever, but he's got some value there.
Yeah, and he's only I mean, not that cap matters in there. He's a very good player, especially for what he makes every year. He's making like on the Canucks and everything. I think he still only makes about $5 million. I think, right? Or if I'm wrong, $5.5 million. Which Canucks
are going to be so fucked when that kid's contract is up for renewal, man.
Please don't remind me of that, because why talk about that when we could talk about the fact that somebody is now making $500,000 more than him, and that is Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who,
oh my god, your team.
We have not talked about this. We did an off the post episode last week, and at that time the Kotkaniemi situation had just kind of started. It was just the offer sheet had been put out. There was the whole thing with the Hurricanes tweeting a bunch of stupid stuff. Like, what was it? There was like literally tweeting verbatim what Mark Bergevin had said about
it was a good troll.
Bastian Aho. It was okay. It was a good troll until they kept doing it every day. That's when it got a little old. But now this is the fun part: is Montreal called their bluff and did not take him back. They didn't sign. As they should. Okay, so let's get
terrible contract.
So let's get into that, because they got, I believe, I think it was a first and a second,
which they then flipped for
Christian Fisher Christian Dvorak on the Coyotes,
which
okay, like that's a move. Like, it doesn't make them. I mean, it makes them little.
The Canes upgraded.
You think the Canes up? You think they upgraded?
I don't think Kotkaniemi's that good.
Oh, sorry. You think the Habs upgraded? You think?
Sorry. Not the Canes. The Canes. I think we talked about this in like one of our last episodes, like before, like after the playoffs were over, and you're just kind of like, I have no clue what the Hurricanes were doing this offseason.
Nobody knows what these are the two teams that nobody knows what the hell they're doing. We just everybody just knows they're mad at them.
They're just having fun with each other, though.
They're having fun, drafting Logan Mailloux and signing Tony DeAngelo. Just two
trying to
class organizations doing great things. I've officially retired from the Hurricanes bandwagon for the time being. But like Kotkaniemi, that contract, they're screwed. Like, okay, it's 1 year, but the amount of space they just swallowed up, I believe they're over the cap now. Like, aren't they at least right at the nose of it?
Even if, I mean, it's only a 1 year deal, right?
So it's only 1 year. And you cannot trade that 1 year, which actually, like, thinking about it, makes sense. Like, you can't trade. The way the compensation works is you can't trade them for the first year after you offer sheet them if they kept them, and which actually does make sense, because I was thinking about, like, oh, that's stupid, why would they do that? But that's actually makes sense, because otherwise teams would say be offer sheeting players all the time and then immediately flipping them to some other team
more assets, or
they'd like retain half the salary. Like, say Ottawa would offer sheet.
Toronto would be doing this with every deal.
Yeah, say Ottawa. Well, like, and like the teams like, say, like Ottawa, who are not even, I think, as of right now, because Brady Tkachuk hasn't signed yet, are not even at the cap floor. They could theoretically go to, say, like Elias Pettersson, say, here, we'll give you $12 million, like literally like the max amount for 1 year. And when the Canucks can match, they just retain half of it, send him somewhere else for like a bunch of picks or something, and get all the picks they just lost compensated right back to them, plus like more, plus other things.
That's why, like, I kind of wonder, like, I feel like Montreal and the Canes GMs are just like fucking around.
I mean, that's obvious.
Because they obviously had the previous offer sheet, which was matched, and the owner was like, "What a fucking joke! Like, obviously, we're gonna match this for Aho." And this time, because of the Dvorak trade immediately after, a part of me is just like, these two are messaging each other like, you know, it'd be really funny if you offer sheeted Kotkaniemi for like a lot of money, we don't match, and then we use those picks for Dvorak. Because what if they were like, we were gonna trade him to you anyway?
That would be
because what if Tom
funny.
Dundon or
Tom Dundon, yeah,
who's
the owner.
GM is?
Oh, Don Waddell is the owner,
Yeah,
as
so-
the GM of the Hurricanes.
Yeah, so if Don Waddell was like, yeah, we want to trade for Kotkaniemi, we'll give you a first and a second, and Montreal's like, sure, but let's make it funny.
I
mean, $20
can't
signing
imagine.
bonus.
I agree with you that would be a thing that they might do, but also I cannot see specifically. I can't see the Montreal Canadiens of all teams being like, "Hey, we have a sense of humor. We have a sense of humor. We like to do things differently than other people. We definitely don't stay the course of all things."
Who was it? I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was the Canes team that was
the
like.
Canes are very much like that.
The Canes were the ones that were like, we were trying to engage with fans and have fun with the offer sheet, right?
Right.
So,
which makes it sound like they only did it
for the lulz.
For the lulz, yeah. They're at zero. Yes, they are at zero cap space.
Yeah, so it's like it would make sense if they were like, if Don Waddell was like, hey, yeah, we're not going to be making any more signings or trades. We have $6 million in space. We were going to trade for Kotkaniemi earlier this summer. How about we do it in a very fun way? We'll do it for the lulz, make the signing bonus like $20 or whatever.
Yeah.
And Kotkaniemi's like, okay, they're going to trade me anyway, so why not?
I get. Yeah, why not?
The meme signing bonus is what to me tells me like these two are just fucking around.
Clearly. Well, I mean, especially the Hurricanes are which is a very silly thing to do, especially considering like this is kind of the underrated part of the whole Kotkaniemi thing is they gave Jesperi Kotkaniemi $6 million to be, I think, third line, at least maybe third line, maybe second line winger. I think they said they want him on the wing. They want him on wing. But apparently giving $3 million to Alex Nedeljkovic was too much.
That's where you kind of like, you raise your eyebrows and you're like I said before, like, what the hell were they trying to do this offseason? There's no sense.
They did not do any, like, they're a good team. They're
Hamilton for $7 million.
Well, yeah, I think how much was it? Only seven? It was only $7.
I'm positive it was only $7. Maybe it was $8, but like still,
you could have been a much better team this year. Like
you could have Hamilton and Nedeljkovic for $10 million, or Jesperi Kotkaniemi for $6 on top of like whatever,
on top of losing all the picks as well.
Yeah, like that's baffling to me.
It doesn't make any sense, especially when you consider what their division looks like. Their division's going to be like they're clearly a good team. Like even with the
losing Dougie Hamilton doesn't make that easier.
That's a big loss.
Yeah,
Nedeljkovic was incredible last year. That's a huge loss, especially when you're considering they're going into this year with injury-prone Freddie Anderson and injury-prone Antti Ranta as your only two goalies. Like and again, when they're healthy, they're fine.
Yeah.
But Nedeljkovic was giving you a Calder caliber performance last year, and you didn't want to give him $3 million to keep him around for much longer and be probably better than say you would have gotten out of 2 years of Freddie Anderson.
It's where like you're like, okay, does Rod Brindamore like have a say in this? Is he just like, I can't trust the kids, even though he's one of the better developing coaches in the NHL at this moment?
Maybe.
It makes no sense, man. It's just like, what the fuck are they doing? They're just throwing shit at a wall and being like, this is fun.
Yeah, it is. I mean, sure, it was fun. Like, it was fun to watch and everything, especially because it doesn't impact the Canucks in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Although, I mean, well, that's not entirely true. I guess once the offer sheet got accepted, or once the Canadians decided not to match, a bunch more people were like, oh, they're going to turn around and the Canadians are going to offer sheet Elias Pettersson. And it's like, no, they're not. The Canucks will immediately match.
They also don't have the cap space to do any offer sheets themselves.
No,
like they're like over it with Dvorak.
And if they were gonna do any big splash out of not getting Kotkaniemi, what they did was they got Christian Dvorak But they also could have, in theory, gone for Jack Eichel, who's I don't know if you saw Elliot Friedman's new thing.
No.
He has been I've got to hear the Sabres had an introductory meeting with Jack Eichel's new representatives. Because remember, he fired his agent.
He changed it up.
I forget if he fired them after they sent the whole this is not working.
They did something,
thing.
and then like 3 days later,
they were
gone,
which is wild.
Very funny.
It says here, this is from Elliot Friedman's article. Both sides are trying to keep things very quiet, but as of yet, word is there's no resolution. As with many of our own responsibilities, several NHL situations picked up steam after Labor Day. I do believe Buffalo re-engaged with interested teams to see where everyone stands. We'll see where things go. Part of that situation has already changed even since I think when this was announced, or when this article came out, because we know Calgary was really interested in getting Jack Eichel for a long time, and then today they announced a slew of signings, which I believe implied that they are no longer in on Eichel.
They told the world they are out on Eichel in the most embarrassing and stupid way possible by signing Eric Gudbranson to a near $2 million contract. Even though they have 3 guys on their right side already.
Whoever his agents are doing a great job.
His agent, honestly, if I'm a hockey player, I'm going for his agent.
Yeah.
Goddamn, dude. This guy, according to fucking Cap Friendly, has made an estimated career earnings of $26 million. He's turning 30 this year.
Good for him. Honestly,
according to everybody, he is an absolutely wonderful human being in the locker room, which great. It's
good for him. Make your money. Go you.
His on-ice ability is what we critique here. We're not criticizing him as a person. He was awful for the Canucks. He was in a prove-it season when they traded for him, and he proved that he probably shouldn't make a lot of money.
And then they signed him anyway.
$4 million a year anyway.
Those are dark times. Those were dark times.
He's been flipped. How many teams has he played for? He played for Pittsburgh,
Ottawa, Nashville. I want to say there was another team in between Pittsburgh and Ottawa.
Florida?
No, Florida was his first team, unless he got traded back. I think it was who was it? It was somebody on the Anaheim. Anaheim.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was Anaheim.
So since being traded from the Canucks in 2018-19 mid-season for Tanner Pearson, who's actually a good player.
That was a great trade.
For 5 teams, including Calgary.
Yeah.
In
3 years?
3 seasons.
Jeez.
That
tracks. That scans.
If you've watched him play.
Yeah, totally scans.
Well, that completely tracks, but he's paid as if he isn't someone who's on his 5th team in 3 years.
And teams keep trading for him, which is very interesting.
Season.
The reason he's played on so many teams in that time is because people our teams are consistently willing to trade for him.
He's very handsome. I get it.
He's a very handsome dude.
I would want that guy in my locker room.
Yeah.
He's a fucking
good morale. Yeah, good. Great for morale.
I'd feel good walking in the locker and seeing that beautiful face staring back at me. Are you kidding me?
It makes you feel like everything's going to be okay. Maybe that's why during the pandemic, he just became he was just instead of getting lost in the chaos of the world, you just get lost in Eric Gudbranson's eyes. Exactly. Maybe that's why teams want him.
Yeah.
But now Calgary is clearly out on Eichel, which frankly, that's a good thing for them, because the Flames are not in a position where they have enough stuff to really make that work. Essentially, to get Eichel out of Buffalo, the Flames would be creating basically the same situation for him in Calgary.
Yeah.
It would be they're not good enough to make that trade where they'd clearly be a step better. Yeah. It would very much be a case of you're just trading one problem for us, maybe slightly worse, a slightly better problem.
Yeah.
Looking at the Flames right now, they're not that great. They're not looking so great.
Their D is, they lost Giordano. The top 2 pairs are a little sus. Tanev is, he had a great year last year, but whether that continues into next is kind of dicey. Yep. Anderson's very good. Hannafin's very good, but they added Blake Coleman. But it's
for
the core
I think too much. I think they overpaid for Blake Coleman. I think too.
I think the term is rough.
The term's a little rough, yeah.
But like it's like 4.9 mil or something. So it's like it's tradable as fuck.
Yeah,
if he waves,
you can move. Yeah, you can move. It's not it. Yeah, and he's a younger guy. I think he's still under. I think he's like
27 or 28. Yeah, like he's surprisingly young. He just bloomed late.
Yeah, he was a late bloomer. He was very
24,
good.
25.
Yeah, he was very good for the Devils for like the few years he was there. Like he was one of the bright spots, even when they weren't super great.
Yeah. So, but like other than that, like their core is still the same at the forward, which is problematic because how many years now have we heard about how the Flames core is like stale and needs one last chance? And
I mean, they should have.
Player wants out. Like,
I mean, they should have moved on from some of these guys. Like this is like I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get into the Leafs today, but like the Leafs, for example, I know a lot of people are already like, oh, this core is cursed. Like they're already poisoned. They can't win.
What was the tweet they put out? Was the last dance for them?
Oh, somebody put out that somebody called them the last dance, which of course implies that they won something.
Yeah, the memes that came out of that where they're just like, yeah, you have to kind of fucking win the first round, let alone like a cup to actually be called the last dance.
Yeah, like, you have to be an actual dynasty to get there. Like what Tampa did last year could be the last dance. What Toronto's doing is trying to get the first one. It's trying to get the first dance.
Still on that first step at the dance. Exactly. They're at the stage where like you approach the girl and say, "Hey, do you want to dance?" They're still there.
Yeah. Now a lot of people are already of the thinking that, oh, it's too late. They got to start moving things out. They have made some mistakes, like for sure, but they'd be very stupid to be like, well, we're going to blow it up. Like Austin Matthews, you have like multiple generational talents on your team. We're going to blow that up and try again. That's not a good call. Calgary is kind of in a spot.
They're like at the end of like their competitive window in the sense that like a lot of their contracts are like expiring. Yeah. Whereas like Toronto, most of their core guys are young enough and on expiring deals that are like midway. They've got time. Calgary's like kind of like the Canucks were in 2013-14, where it was like, you guys need to cut and run before you lose them all for nothing and they have no value anymore.
Yeah.
And Gaudreau still has value. Monahan would have value. All these guys have value, but they're just so insistent on like
they're keep trying to jam the square peg into the round hole, and it's not.
Keep wondering why it's not working. Thinking it's going to work, and it's like, well, you lost your captain.
Like so, and like even in the Canucks case in 2013-14, at least that team had at least been to a Stanley Cup final and won 2 President's trophies. There was an actual history of success there. The Flames have won a playoff series a couple times. That's it.
And when they were first in the division, they flamed out.
Yes.
No pun intended.
Well done. They've never made it to a conference final. I don't think they've even I think that the farthest they've gotten is a game 6 against Dallas. I think that was the closest, and that was in the bubble year.
Yeah.
In the bubble season. They're very hell-bent on this core specifically, I'm referring to the Gaudreau-Monahan group, rather than say Matthew Tkachuk, who's still young enough that he's kind of in his own section.
Yeah.
They keep trying to make that Gaudreau-Monahan team a winner, and it's just not working. Yeah. I don't think that their odds on that working are going to improve this year.
No. Blake Coleman does not
he's good,
but he does not drastically improve your team to be.
No. He is a great player if you are a final piece. Yeah. If he's the last piece, like Tampa Bay. Yeah. Calgary has a lot of pieces they still need, so they're not there. And I guess in the Canucks case here, like they're in a spot here where so many teams in their own division are just not very good. Have made themselves you mentioned at the top that a lot of Canadian teams or maybe this was before we started.
I think we were in our warm up. I was saying that all the Canadian teams are basically doing the Canucks a favor by getting deliberately worse.
Yeah, and the North Division teams, the Pacific Division teams now, are either they've made themselves actively worse. Yeah. Or they're the San Jose, LA, Anaheim teams where they're just rebuilding and they're not really planning to do much. They're not
going to be good.
They knew they weren't going to be good already. The Canucks are in a spot here where they are very likely the second best team
Yeah,
in
like
that
by
division.
default, they might act like even if their D is as awful as it should be
As
on
it likely
paper,
will be, yeah.
they could still luck their way into a playoff spot just by the virtue of Edmonton icing one of the worst defensive groups in the NHL, Calgary just like wheel spinning and accomplishing nothing, Ottawa claiming their rebuild is over.
Oh, I forgot about
they
that.
re-signed Drake Batherson and they're like, rebuild's done, we're ready to compete.
Again,
like,
never mind the fact that they still don't have Matthew Tkachuk or Brady Tkachuk signed yet.
Yeah.
That's I mean, I don't know if
they've got they're $24 million under the cap floor.
That's the weirdest part to me.
Ridiculous.
What are they negotiating? They have so much money.
We're going to sign Brady Tkachuk to a 12-year.
It reeks of Eugene Melnick not wanting to pay. Maybe they go for Matthew Tkachuk. Maybe. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Well, what would they'd have to give Brady to get him?
They've got a good prospect pool.
They have a very good prospect pool.
And I think they have a lot of picks. So in theory, they would be just banking on the fact that Tkachuk does not re-sign, and they hope Calgary realize they need to rebuild and could use the picks.
Maybe that might. I mean,
GMs make terrible decisions, and I feel like last offseason was exemplary of just GMs making terrible trades.
Yeah,
over and over.
I will say I saw some good. There were some better trades than I've seen. I saw a lot more 3-team deals and stuff. Teams actually trying to creatively solve problems, and whereas normally they're very much no, we're going to do things the same way.
It's got to be a hockey trade. It's got to be a guy for a guy, or a pick and a guy for a guy and a pick. You can't use anything else.
A lot of teams did a better job at trying to find better ways to get around issues, especially with the cap. The constraints encouraged creativity, which was actually which was great to see from that side of things, at least for us. But now, we're getting close to the season with Pettersson and Hughes are not signed, and neither is Brady Tkachuk or Kirill Kaprizov.
And according to most people, they're thinking Tkachuk, Kaprizov, and Pettersson are in this kind of waiting area of one guy's contract will set the bar for the other two. Yeah,
they're kind of playing chicken. They're playing contract chicken, where they're waiting for one person to finally get theirs done, and then they'll get the rest done, which is fair. I see why, but I don't feel like that's going to work out well for Petey in particular, because
or Tkachuk, really, because Kaprizov has the option to go back to Russia,
possibly. But and even in that case, I've heard it's not great. But in particular, the Kaprizov negotiations have been, and actually, Kaprizov and Tkachuk, both of those have been a little bit heated. Apparently, those two in particular, there's been some contentious negotiations between those two sides. But even if, say, things were going well in that case, the problem for Pettersson is that the Canucks only have about, I think with Ferland's cap hit added in, we've talked about this before, I think it's about $13.5 million
maybe.
And Quinn Hughes is going to be the one that gets the long-term big contract right away. If anyone's getting the big contract, it's Hughes first, because it's much harder to replace a Quinn Hughes than it is an Elias Pettersson. As much as they're both very good hockey players, it is harder to find a defenseman of Quinn Hughes's caliber than it is to find a center of Elias Pettersson's caliber. So Pettersson's likely waiting on a bridge deal, whereas Kaprizov and Tkachuk could very easily just immediately get the money they want, which is why it's kind of weird that they haven't signed yet.
Yeah, a little bit. It's not good. Pettersson's still in Sweden too.
Yeah, and we've seen players start to come back. Vasily Podkolzin's here. He just arrived.
All the guys from Russia are here.
Daniil Klimovich
all the
is
States
here.
Players are here.
Yeah. Are all of the? I don't think. I think Besser is still not. I think Besser. I think I'm
still having hot boy summer.
Yeah, with the puppies and Phoebe Stetzer.
And Troy Stetzer.
He was pet sitting Phoebe. He was pet sitting Phoebe for Troy. Adorable. Very. It's been an interesting little time over the last little while since we recorded and everything, with all the hockey news and everything that's gone on, and it's only going to get more. There's the whole Tomas Hertl thing in San Jose. That might be.
I like the memes that are coming out of that, where someone posted a fake tweet of Thomas Hertl. He's like, I don't even know if I want to be back in San Jose. He's like,
I mean, fair.
I don't know if they want me
If it
back,
were-
and I don't know if I want to be back, but I know I have to be back.
Yeah. Oh man, that's gonna be a very interesting one because they don't have much. The Sharks have,
as you were saying, also in our little technical difficulties phase of the show, trying to make sure everything was okay. We were like, Jonathan Dahlen stands to be like their
one of their best players.
Forwards.
He got protected at the Seattle expansion draft. He was one of their protections. Which
surprising because I feel like a lot of people thought him getting signed was specifically to be exposed in the expansion draft.
Right.
But
who did they lose instead? Oh, Alex True. They lost a weird one. Alex True's, I think we talked about it at the time. He's AHL. He's an AHL
player who's whatever.
Like very, very well liked when I was there. By the Barracuda locker room, they really liked Alex True, but that's all he is. He's an AHL guy. He's never. I don't think he's ever going to crack an NHL roster.
As we said in episode probably 134 of the CreaseCast, we don't know what the fuck the Seattle Kraken were doing with their expansion draft at all.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's a whole other wrinkle. The Kraken are a thing now. Like there's
on top of
so much,
on top of like all the Canadian teams, like just making baffling moves and getting worse on behalf of Jim Benning to make him look good and give him another year. You had like Seattle have a pretty underwhelming expansion draft. You had San Jose get rid of Martin Jones finally, and that's about it. I think the Kings might actually be a lot better than people are expecting, just because like they got like some low key pretty good pieces for pretty cheap. But otherwise, it's just like it's Vegas.
Yeah,
that's it. It's Vegas, and then I guess Connor McDavid willing the Oilers above all odds. But even then, they're banking on Mike Smith.
They're banking on Mike Smith. They're also banking on Duncan Keith not being a complete disaster.
He'll have a rebound. Well, he will. Just
you think really?
I think just like out of like pure like spite, he'll have like a rebound year and probably put up like 60 points just because he's playing. It'll be the Tyson Barrie thing, right? Where he gets so much time with McDavid that by default he just puts up points.
Yeah.
Even though he's not that good.
Maybe. I just wonder if that's enough to even distract from his defensive liabilities now, right?
Yeah, it might if they shelter him enough.
Well, that's the thing. They don't really have anyone. Like, who do you use to shelter him? That's because they lost Ethan Bear. They traded Ethan Bear.
Yeah.
Darnell Nurse got $9 million.
Yes, payday.
That's the other thing, man. It's going to be a very interesting hockey season.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, one of the things we were talking about before we started the show as well, which I think we'll do next episode.
Yeah,
is we're going to probably do a whole game where it's like, who does this player play for now?
Yeah, because
the whole league. I think somebody said. I think there was at one point I saw a tweet where someone said that I think a third or like a fourth of the league, some very high number, have since the offseason switched teams. Something I might be overestimating, but somebody said there was an insane number.
An expansion draft and like an extremely active free agency day like led to some like wild swings of rosters.
Yeah.
Like relatively speaking, like the Canucks really didn't I mean, I guess they overhauled their roster pretty good, but like teams like
they overhauled the AHL depth.
They basically paid for a brand new team, which they had to do. But yeah, there's a lot of teams that like there's like a few teams that like didn't really do anything, like Buffalo.
What can they do?
A lot of stuff, but they didn't actually add or do anything.
They're in the spot where they can't really. Well, they don't want to do anything because they want Shane Wright. Them and the Coyotes are going to be in a bitter battle for Shane Wright.
The next couple of years for like Tankathon are going to be so unreal because you have Shane Wright and Connor Bedard next year.
They're both next year.
I'm pretty sure it's Shane Wright, Connor Bedard, and someone else.
There's a lot of good players next year.
This upcoming season, I think. Yeah. And then the year after that, it's I don't know, someone else or Matej Michkov or whatever, the kid who's like the highest scoring U17 player in the KHL after 4 games. Yeah. Like it's gonna be unfriggin' real. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else worth discussing on this particular show other than
I think this is a good catch up episode because, like you're saying, the news is kind of just like externally related to the Canucks, but nothing really. Wait, let's quickly both check Twitter, make sure Quinn Hughes hasn't signed.
Yeah, that would
be so funny. Like I just leave your house and it's just like Hughes signs 8-year, $7 million contract.
That is 100% something we are going to have to get used to. I think just the fact that we're going to start this is the setup now. We're going to be recording together in person for
we're gonna try and record in person as much as possible.
Yeah,
like to peel back the onion a bit. I work like
you have
5 minutes away from your house,
right.
So I basically can just have to remember to bring my mic to here, and then we can record here.
And then if we start upgrading some tech, maybe you won't even have to do that. You might just have to. You might be able to leave the mic at home and just have have one waiting here for you.
On that note. If you would like to subscribe to our Patreon and make that happen,
help us pay for some new equipment. You know what? And especially help us pay for a new table, one that I can actually put a boom mic on, because this one I can't do, because this is my kitchen. This is my this is my life. This is the first. Literally, we're sitting at the kitchen table. That was I think the first piece of furniture I bought, and we're sitting on the chairs that I got with it. It was one of those literally like, here's a whole dining set for under $100.
Oh yeah.
And I even went cheaper than that because I didn't buy the 4th chair. I only bought 3.
4 chairs is ridiculous. So when Roxy and I bought our house, they sold us like pretty much everything. So they were moving back east and they didn't want to like get rid of everything. Okay. So they were like, hey, do you want our dining table? We're like, how many chairs are there? They're like, there's 3. We're like, there's no 4th. And like, no, there's just 3. And we looked at the chairs, and one of them was like tucked away in their closet, coated in paint. Oh, because I guess their kid had like drawn all over it with paint. Oh. So we basically got 2 chairs. It's like, okay, well, probably have to upgrade this in a little bit.
Yeah,
I get that. I vibe with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend some time trying to upgrade the space so it looks a little bit more nice on camera. We might get a second. I might get a second camera, maybe.
We're gonna try. We're gonna really try to make this like Steve Dangle's 12-year-old's bedroom.
We're gonna try it. We might not have Convo or Vancast or TTP's scoops and info or like the other podcasts in town. There's a lot of good podcasts in this area, but we're at least gonna at least try and look like we do.
Yeah, that's the key.
We're gonna try and look like we do, and we're gonna try and bring some guests in that are gonna be fun, because that's the other fun part. We can actually bring in guests now.
And even if we don't get in guests, I have a question for you, Lachlan. Of those top podcasts, which one of them puts their shit on YouTube?
Which one puts their shit on YouTube? Why, I believe none of them do.
Fucking none of them.
Except us.
Except us. We know what the fuck we're doing.
Start a beef war, a YouTube war. I think only Broadcast is the only one that has a YouTube channel out. Or that's not true. Yeah, they do. Pucks on Net does. Shout out to Arash and the guys over there.
That's right.
Pucks on Net has one, and I want to say there's one more in there that I'm missing.
Area 51 does it too.
That's right. Area 51. All of their podcasts do now as well.
Lachlan's setup, no offense to those guys, we appreciate and support all of their work, but Lachlan's effort and the editing and the graphics puts it to the top. Therefore, they are garbage and we are supreme. And if I can't actually put on any of the banners because
you can't hit the banners. That's okay. Laptop. I got them.
If you want to support further banner creation, not ones that are going to fly over Rogers Arena mid-season, but internet
in video ones,
in video for our YouTube channel. Support us at patreon.com/CreaseCast. $5 a month gets you access to all kinds of bonus stuff. Lachlan's putting out exclusive content on there. We just recently put out an Off the Post episode where we basically played How Was Your Summer?
Yeah, we did kind of a similar thing to what we did today, with a little bit more emphasis on just
way less hockey.
Way less hockey. Yes, we talked way less hockey at that time.
Although we did actually, I think we talked more about the Canucks in that episode than we did.
That's true. Today we talked a little bit more about other teams.
Broad hockey,
very broad hockey stuff. And I think the plan is, at least like not today, because it's already getting close to, it's already 8 p.m. It's getting
Lachlan has to edit 17.
It's getting well. I mean, I was thinking more along the lines of you have to drive home.
Oh yeah, I gotta do that.
Like, I think the idea is that probably like we'll start doing OTPs like right after we do the main show, or like before we do the main show, just so we can get them both done and out of the way, and then it'll be easier. And it'll be easier because we're in person. We don't have to worry about like trying to like set the times up or like match up schedules and anything.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun. Where can people find you on social media, Cody?
That's a good question because I haven't plugged my shit in a long time. I think they can find me at Twitter at Cody Sievertson. I believe my new site is ahlnuxharvest.com. If I feel like it, I might post the prospect rhombus with zero write-up and just post the image and be like, have at her, folks.
Yeah.
But Lachlan, where can the fine folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Lach and the Crease. And you can also find my website, lachandthecrease.com, where I do articles from time to time. And also you can find me on Locked On Canucks, which I do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays right now. And then eventually Monday through Friday, we'll be doing it 5 days a week. Yeah, there's going to be that. Also, just a little thing. We are looking for a producer. If you have a producer,
you know how to edit
if you know
YouTube,
yeah,
podcasts, or have any experience or interest in doing that in general, we offer internships. We have zero pay, but
we have unpaid.
We'll pay you in clout and Twitter retweets and follows.
We give you a little. We do give some pay, but like you'll get part ownership of the show. No, well, something kind of like that. Honestly, we're gonna get like if you're interested, like oh my god, I can't even hear what he's saying. DM, send me a DM or send the CreaseCast account a DM if you're like somebody who has a any sort of producer history, and maybe we can
get your fingers out and slide into our DMs.
Yeah, because we could use a third person around here. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
That's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch you episode 137 probably next week, or I don't know, whenever there's actual news again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we should update the schedule as well. So like right now we're only doing 1 episode a week. We will be doing 2 episodes a week again in I think like October probably is when we'll start doing 2 episodes again.
We don't want to commit to anything because we don't like people to be like, why is there no episode? Because we don't know how fucking nuts the season's gonna be either.
Yeah.
And we don't know what this kid's school schedule is going to be like. We don't know what AHL coverage is going to be like.
Yeah, I'll find time. I'm going to find the time. Don't you worry about that.
I won't find the time, but
you won't find the time.
Until then, folks, we'll find the time for you always. So until next time, deuces.
Bye.